So what we have here is a 2005 Town & Country, Chrysler Town & Country. Same thing as like a Dodge Caravan. What we're working on today is this lower control arm bushing here. It is completely foobar, so we need to change that out. So I'm assuming that if you're watching this video, you know how to jack your vehicle up and put it safely supported on jack stands. I'm working in a dirt driveway. I got boards down underneath, and since I'm here and my wife's not here, as a safety precaution, I have my tire underneath here with a block. In case the vehicle ever did come down, it would land on the tires and the blocks on both sides of the vehicle instead of coming down on me. You can see there's a gap right now. They're not supported by that. They are actually vehicles on jack stands. This control arm bushing is not as bad, but since you have to remove this whole entire lower cradle, I'm going to do both at the same time. Okay, so on the suspension cradle that goes across underneath here, there are 11 21 millimeter bolts. All of them except for these two, one here and one on the other side, have nuts up on the top, so you're going to need a 21 millimeter wrench as well as a 21 millimeter socket. There is an oddball 18 millimeter right here, and then there are a couple 15 millimeters here and a couple 15 millimeters down on the other end, as well as a couple 10 millimeter bolts. The last one was right here that hold up you know, various cooling apparatus here and stuff. These bolts right here that go up into the body on my particular van were completely rusted and took forever to get out. Just be patient. I had to back them out, turn them in, back them out, turn them in, spray them, back them out, turn them in. It helped to have a bar to put on the end of my half-inch drive to get these bolts, because these 21 millimeters were in there pretty good, and these guys, as I said, were a real pain in the ass. Okay. After you get the suspension cradle bracket down and out of the way, you want to loosen up and remove the bolt on the second lower control arm bushing so we can get this one out. Once you get the bolt removed, you know, I took my half-inch drive extension, put it in a spot down here on the control arm, and just give it a few taps and should pop that right down. After giving it a few successful taps, we now have the control arm down, flopping around. We have access to the bushing now, so I'm going to go ahead and try to remove the rest of the bushing. This one was really bad and just completely and utterly fell apart on me. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the rest of this bushing off the end of this control arm. I read that, you know, you can take a razor knife, slice it down, split it. However you have to get it off there, we'll get it off and get it cleaned up. So we're able to pivot the control arm right outside the vehicle here to have real nice access to work on this bush. And if you're wondering what this hose is over here, I cut tubing to fit up inside the frame rail holes to be able to spray some lubricant for that pain in the ass bolt earlier. We're on the driver's side here, gonna get this bushing done here. That bolt for the second control arm bushing in the rear, you actually have to take your jack, a block of wood underneath your tranny pan, and jack the whole entire transaxle up enough, and it just barely will clear so you can get that bolt out. So that's the trick, because otherwise the bolt just comes and hits right here and it's a no-go operation. So jack it up a little bit, don't be scared, she'll come right out. You can see we got the other lower control arm swung out here. Like I said, after you drop it down, they just swing right out, so you can work on them without having to be underneath the vehicle. And yeah, this one's not in as good a condition either. Really bad. So I'm gonna work on getting this off, and I'll check in a second. Okay, so in order to get the inner part of the old bushing off, I had to heat it up with a torch, melt out the inside. It's still a little warm, and comes right out, and then we'll clean this up with a wire wheel. You can see that the wire wheel, got it all nice and cleaned up, successful. Now we're gonna go ahead and install the bushings. So I got some soapy water, probably help us lubricate this a little bit, slide this bad boy on. Just make sure it's in the same orientation as it came off, so that way when you put it back up inside, it goes in the same way. So just be mindful of the orientation. Usually this line runs right up to this tip here. So I'm gonna go ahead and lube this up, tap this on, and we're good to go. Okay, so we have the rear control arm bushing successfully mounted and stuffed back up in there. So just make sure that this line in the center lines up with these holes here, and you know you got it far enough on the shaft. I just tapped it on the mallet with the soapy water, slid right on, made sure that the orientation was correct when it was up in here, and I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side. See, we got the other side installed nicely. I'm getting ready to slide the rear bolt back in here. You can see I cleaned up the threads, put a little bit of anti-seize lubricant on there, get this adjusted. I'm going to slide this back in. I got this bolt back in. Now these bolts you don't want to tighten up, you want to leave them loose until you get the weight of the car back down on them. You either put your jack stands underneath your control arms to get the weight of the vehicle, or put it up on ramps, and then you can tighten these down. But don't tighten these down until you have the weight of the vehicle on it.